Working for free. Is that what young unemployed Canadians should be willing to do? That's the advice from the Bank of Canada governor. We talked to one expert who says that's bad policy. Also, 3 things to improve Canada's welfare system. I'm Affan Chowdhry. Welcome to Globe Now. The Bank of Canada governor is causing a bit of a stir. Poloz made comments this week about young people struggling to get into the job market. His advice? Get some real-life experience even though you're discouraged, even if it's for free. Well, in fairness to Poloz, he did acknowledge the scarring effect of youth unemployment, which stands at 13.5%, higher than the overall jobless rate of 6.8%. Paul Kershaw is the founder of Generation Squeeze, an advocacy group that is drawing attention to the inequalities experienced by Gen X, Gen Y, and millennials. He's also a University of British Columbia professor. Hi, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
Let's look at some comments from readers because it's gotten a huge reaction. Here's one. Many young people cannot afford to work for free, including myself when I was a young person. Here's another comment. My daughter worked at an unpaid internship this past summer. Sometimes you need to network to get the paying jobs and show how committed you are. What do you think about that last comment?
Well, getting a job is as much about who you know as what you know. And so networking is important. It's important today. It's been important in the past. But at a public policy level, we need senior people like the governor of the Bank of Canada to be urging renewed attention at the policy level to the plight of younger generations today, and to ask important questions about, are we showing as much urgency to the need to adapt for younger generations as we do for the aging population? And one thing we know at Generation Squeeze is that each year we allocate about $38,000 to $45,000 of taxpayers' money to each person over age 65 on important things like old age security and medical care to meet their needs as the population ages. But by contrast, we spend a fraction of that, $10,000 to $12,000 per person under 45.
Let's imagine, that young Canadian gets his or her first job. What can they expect in terms of salary, living costs?
Well, they can expect to earn about $5,000 less on average than their parents did a few decades back. And then they'll have to expect working about 5 more years in that lower paying job in order to save a 20% down payment on an average home. And then if they're lucky to actually get into that average home, then they'll have to work an extra month per year to pay off the annual mortgage, even at today's historically low interest rates.
Paul, that is a depressing picture. And I wonder what gives you hope when it comes to young Canadians?
Well, it is the case that it is depressing to learn that younger generations are squeezed for time and money. I take hope in the fact that we can squeeze back together and make Canada work for all generations once again. And one of the places that Generation Squeeze takes a lot of inspiration from is a group called the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, which has been showing for decades that when generations organize on their behalf, they can make politics work for them. And one of the things we recognize is that younger Canadians are less organized to make politics work for us. We're less likely to show up to vote. And in between elections, we're less likely to make clear what our needs are so that parties start to design platforms to respond. And what we're doing at Generation Squeeze is remedying that problem. We are helping younger Canada from coast to coast to coast get organized to build a powerful voice that speaks up for us, to make all parties want to take the squeeze on younger generations seriously, while we also protect the old age security and medical care that our aging parents and grandparents need.
Paul Kershaw, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Well, we want to hear what you think. Are unpaid internships the way to go for young Canadians? Tweet us at Globe Now. Well, while young Canadians are trying to find work, there is another reality: Canadians who count on some sort of assistance or welfare. And increasingly, there's a debate about how to reform the welfare system. Here are 3 things Canada can do, according to Dennis Raphael, who's written about poverty in Canada. He's also a professor at York University.
Welfare system in Canada is typical of countries like the United Kingdom, the United States, in that it works on the assumption that this is an absolute last resort for people. But it also works on the assumption that we really can't be too generous to people, because if we help them out too much, they will prefer to stay on welfare as opposed to getting jobs or working. The way it all plays out is that people on welfare live absolute lives of desperation. If you're considered to be an employable person in Ontario, and that basically means you can walk and you can breathe, you might be getting $700 to $800 a month, which puts you at literally 1/3 or so of the poverty line. There's 3 things we really should be doing. One of them is to make it easier for people to unionize. Wages come up, it becomes more attractive to go to work, and that might help spur people coming off welfare. The second thing would be to make available affordable childcare, because again, especially in terms of people on social assistance, if you felt secure and where you could place your children, again, that would be a spur to getting off welfare. And third would be recognition that probably for about 10 cents a day of the average Canadian, we could afford to provide people on social assistance with the resources they would need to be healthy and well. And keep in mind that an awful lot of people on welfare are children. And when you treat children like this, not only do they become sick children, they become sick adults later on.
That's all for today's show. If you've got a moment, hop onto Twitter. Do you think Canada's welfare system needs fixing? Tweet us at Globe Now. I'm Affan Chowdhry. Thanks for watching.